Hello and thank you for showing an interest in planning application 2025-01327, a proposed rezoning to rezone 3709 Barrington Street, Halifax, from Harbour-Related Industrial Zone to Commercial Light Industrial Zone. There is currently no proposed development on the property. My name is Isabel Ledge and I'm a planner with Halifax Regional Municipalities Planning and Development Department. I have been assigned to manage this application through the planning process. This application is currently in the public consultation phase, and we are requesting your feedback on the proposal. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. HROM acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. We would also like to affirm that we are in the decade for people of African descent. African Nova Scotians are a distinct founding people in our community who have been a key part of Nova Scotian culture and history. We acknowledge that African teachings, strengths, and perseverance continue to challenge and inspire our community. The purpose of this public consultation is information sharing for staff to share information on the proposal and process. More importantly, this is an opportunity for the public to share their concerns, comments, and feedback on the proposed rezoning. Please note that the feedback provided will inform the process and will inform part of the public record. A summary of the response received will be included in the staff report to Halifax and West Community Council prior to their decision on the proposal. No decision on the application will be made at this stage. What is my role in all of this? I am the planner assigned to the case, meaning I manage the application through the planning process in its various stages, such as this one, the public consultation stage. I am also the main point of contact for the applicant and general public regarding the application. Lastly, I draft reports, negotiate with the applicant, and make recommendations to the Halifax and West Community Council for their consideration on whether to approve or refuse the application. The applicant is Fathom Studio, who is representing the property owner. The property in question is located at 3709 Barrington Street and the adjacent vacant property in Halifax. The proposal is to rezone the property from Harbour-Related Industrial Zone to Commercial Light Industrial Zone to allow for a broader range of light industrial and commercial uses. Please note that there is no current proposed development project for the property. The image shown on the right is the site, which consists of two parcels shown with the red box at the intersection of Barrington and Glebe Street. The left image shows the existing development patterns and land uses in the area. The subject site is surrounded by a mixture of residential, commercial, and industrial development and abuts a train yard and commercial building. The site is approximately 765 square meters with approximately 90 meters of road frontage along Barrington Street. The subject site is located between an established residential neighborhood and an established industrial train yard and port facility. The residential neighborhood is predominantly made up of single-unit, 1- and 2-story homes and apartment buildings of varying sizes. The rezoning request would change the uses permitted on the property subject to all applicable regional center land use bylaw requirements. The following slides intend to outline how the permitted uses would change if the rezoning were to be successful. The property is zoned Harbour-Related Industrial, HRI, and the proposed rezoning is Commercial Light Industrial Zone, CLI. It may take a bit of time because there's quite a few permitted uses in the proposed rezoning zone. As you can see on the slide, the current permitted use is a cruise ship terminal use. What would be permitted would be a broadcasting production studio use, cannabis lounge use, cannabis retail sales use, catering use, commercial recreation use, dealership, drinking establishment use, financial institution use. More uses that are currently not permitted but would be permitted via the rezoning would be a fitness center use, garden center use, grocery store use, hotel use, kennel use, local commercial use, local drinking establishment use, market space use, microbrewery use, microdistillery use, office use, pawn shop use, personal service use, pet daycare use, quick charging station use, restaurant use, retail use, with a max gross floor area of 300 square meters per premises, self-storage facility use. Uses that are currently permitted on the property are a short-term rental use accessory to residential use provided the dwelling unit is primary residential residence of the operator, and urban farm use. Uses that would be permitted via the rezoning would be a service station use, service use, studio use, short-term rental use, veterinary facility use, any other commercial use if not prohibited, farmers market use, as well as keeping the urban farm use as currently permitted. Uses that are currently permitted on the property are emergency service use, minor spectator venue use, major spectator venue use. Uses that are currently not permitted but would be permitted via the rezoning would be a cultural use, daycare use, medical clinic use, public building use, religious institution use, school use, as well as continuing the permitted emergency service use, which is currently permitted on the property as zoned. Additional uses that are currently permitted on the property are data storage center use, industrial training facility use, and marine-related uses. Uses that would be permitted if the rezoning were to be successful would be a university or college use, auto repair use, entirely contained within the building, car wash use, data storage center, industrial training facility use, light manufacturing use, entirely contained within a building, as well as a recycling depot use. Uses currently permitted on the property are research and development facility use, storage yard use, warehousing use, conservation use, park use. Uses that would be permitted if the rezoning were to be successful would be a wholesale food production use, wholesale use, club recreation use, community recreation use, conservation use. Park use would also be permitted as currently permitted, research development facility use, and warehousing use would also be permitted as currently permitted and permitted via the rezoning. And lastly, all of the following uses are currently permitted and would be permitted if the rezoning were to be successful. So the uses would be water access structure use, accessory structure use, historic site or monument use, parking structure use, transportation facility use, utility use. As I mentioned, these are currently permitted and would continue to be permitted as of right. Please note, for clarity and brevity, uses that are permitted in the HRI zone, subject to being located within the mixed industrial commercial special area, are marked as not permitted because the subject site is not located within the special area. You would find this additional information in the complete list of permitted uses in the Table 1C, pages 51 to 53 of the Regional Center Land Use Bylaw, all of which can be found online via the Halifax website. When a planning application is made, it is often enabled by planning policies, meaning it was envisioned that development would happen here and rules and guidelines were written to help shape what that development would look like. Planning in HRM consists of 3 levels of documents. It starts with the regional plan, which is very high level, and it identifies where population growth should occur and where investment or services like transit, piped water, and sewer should occur. The second level of planning policies is the community plan. This plan is focused on a specific geographic area and gets more detailed on what type of development should happen where. Often planning applications which require approval by council are enabled in this plan. For this application, the applicable community plan is the regional center secondary municipal planning strategy. The third layer and most detailed planning document we have is the land use bylaw. This outlines specific zoning and regulations that don't require special approval by council. If you meet the requirements of the land use bylaw, a permit can be applied for and approved by your development officers. This rezoning application would change what uses that could be approved on the subject site, as the previous slides showed. A brief review of the applicable policies and bylaws indicates that this application falls under the jurisdiction of the Regional Center Secondary Municipal Planning Strategy and corresponding land use bylaw. The subject site is fully serviced by municipal water and sewer and is currently zoned Harbour-Related Industrial Zone, or HRI for short. Subject site is designated as Industrial Employment Designation, or IDE. The existing use on the property is a non-conforming dwelling and vacant lot. The dwelling is non-conforming because it pre-exists the current land use bylaw, which would not permit the use today. There is no proposed development or project on the site as part of this application. The enabling policies relevant to this rezoning are MI6 and MI7, as outlined in the Regional Center Secondary Municipal Planning Strategy. The rezoning application is being considered through policy IM6. The policy outlines when council may consider amending the zoning boundary to permit a rezoning. To be able to rezone a property, the request must be to rezone the land to a zone within the same designation. The subject site is within the Industrial Employment Designation. Both the current zone and the requested zone are designated industrial employment, which adheres with the policy. Policy IM7 guides council when reviewing a rezoning application. Consideration are to be given to ensuring the proposal is consistent with the vision, core concepts, and policies. There are additional sections in the policy guiding the rezoning request review. However, these sections are not applicable because there is currently no proposed project or development for the subject site. This chart outlines the different stages an application goes through in the planning process. We are currently in the planning consultation stage. Staff will write a report and draft planning documents, including a recommendation to Halifax and West Community Council for their consideration. Community Council will then make a decision on whether to approve or refuse the application during a public hearing, at which members of the public can voice their feedback directly to Council before their decision is made. The decision of Council following the public hearing is appealable, and there is a 14-day appeal period. Thank you for listening and showing an interest in this proposal. For opportunities to learn more and provide your feedback, we ask that you visit the application website highlighted in yellow and view the submitted materials which go into further detail on the proposed rezoning. Or email or call me at isabel.wallet@halifax.ca or call 902-478-3245. Thank you.